Are you ready? Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:31. Jean, will you call? We call the roll.
I will. False.
Here.
Huggins. Here. Kelleher here. Mills.
Yes.
Shire.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to read the acknowledgements?
Happy to. Before colonization and settlement by people of European descent, the place we know as Evanston was home to the Potawatomi, Odawa, and Ojibwe tribes, also known as the Council of the Three Fires. It also served as an important crossroads and meeting place for a number of other indigenous tribal nations, including the Ho-Chunk, Illinois, Anoka, Kickapoo, Miami, Menominee, Peoria, and Sac Fox nations. We acknowledge and honor the original people of this land, as well as the indigenous people that still call this area home, and support their continued work for justice, self-determination, and sovereignty. In doing so, we honor Indigenous protocol and remind ourselves and our community that land acknowledgements do not exist in past tense.
Thank you. Is there citizen comment?
No, there is no.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do you have a,
I have a motion to amend the agenda.
please?
I would move to amend the agenda, amending items 8B and 8C in new business to a discussion of trustee membership.
8B and 8C in new business to discussion of trustee members, trustee membership.
Is there a second?
So it's like seconded.
Is there any discussion around the item? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Sure. Trustee, President Pulse.
Yes.
Huggins. Yes. Kelleher. Yes. Mills.
Yes.
Shire.
Yes.
Okay, agenda is now amended. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Seconded. Okay.
Huggins.
Huggins and Mills.
Oh, sorry, calling roll for the consent agenda approval. Pulse.
Yes,
Huggins. Yes. Kelleher, yes. Mills. Yes. Shire. Yes. Right.
excellent. Okay, now let's move on to the staff and financial reports. We'll start with the director's report.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to see the soon-to-be new trustees here tonight. My name is Heather Milberg. I'm the interim executive director. The director's report is included in the packet. Just a couple of things to point out. Last month was the American Library Association's annual conference that is held every other or every third year in Chicago. And so a number of our employees attended that conference, and we were chosen ahead of the conference to be the site of an author visit of some children's authors who were visiting from Japan. Those authors were promoting a number of books, one of which had appeared on our 2025, both the 101 Great Books for Kids list and the Blueberry Awards list. So that was a nice honor to have our library chosen for that site to visit. It was a really nice program, a lot of attendees. So I just wanted to point that out of that interesting and great relationship building that particularly our children's librarians do in their participation in the American Library Association and related committees. So wanted to sort of sing their praises for that. And then also just pointing out a few of our, I always like to show some of the public comments that we get. And some of the things that we provide to the community that maybe people don't think about. One of our comments was a thank you for providing a fax machine, which is a service that we provide that people don't realize they still need sometimes in order to submit government documents securely. So just wanted to point that out, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the director's report this month.
One, I had no idea that there was a fax machine. Are there any other comments about the director's report? Okay, ready for the administrative services report. Hello.
For HR, we have one full-time position that will be vacant from Friday, the lawyer says Saturday. Because Friday would be its last day, she'll be leaving us. So for now, we have hired the part-time, interim Mora. And she'll be working with us. If you remember, she was here, for the degree last year. Before time, so we thought maybe like connecting with her and getting us, but she was to do it. She was the one who created our website and other stuff. So we hired her. And the rest are three other part-timers, hopefully we'll be posting them and it will be done soon. Still working on this application and stuff. As far as the finance is concerned, property tax, we are still receiving in chunks. As said in the last board meeting, like, city have said it will be receiving, will be delayed somewhere in all September or October. But we haven't got any reports or anything yet, even for the last fiscal year. But still I'm working with city and also, talking with the Cook County, but we haven't got anything yet. Like how we receive our reports. As far as the expense are concerned, there isn't any major expense that came up or has been occurred. Is everything will be budgeted? We are budgeting that one, If you have any questions or anything like that. So.
Are there any questions about the administrative services report? I think the one bit of business that we may not all have been aware of is that Ellen is leaving. Was everybody aware that Ellen was leaving? So,
Yes, I just want to say thank you very much to Ellen. It's our loss and her next employer's gain. I'm not sure if it's public knowledge who we're going. Okay, so Ellen is going to be the director of communications for Trilogy. She received it's a new position there that they've created, so she will be.
that is wonderful.
That's
I
an
mean,
organization that we have partnered with in the past and hope to partner with more in the future, so we'll still maintain a connection with Ellen, but she's done wonders in terms of marketing and communications.
she has.
Samir mentioned Mora, who will be coming back on a part-time interim basis with us. Mora herself was here yesterday orienting with Ellen and said, Ellen has done so much great stuff since she's been here. She's really leaving me with just like a path. And it's going to be very easy to step in, and she's set it up so well. So we really appreciate Ellen's work that she's done here over the past couple of years.
Thank you, Ellen. And thank you, Samir. Now the facilities report.
Yes, facilities, the report is in your packet there, since the roof was completed. No other major repairs have been done in this month. We did have a meeting with the City of Evanston Facilities and Capital Improvement Program planning staff to review the 2022 building reserve analysis for the main library that was prepared back then, just to make sure that any of the items there, nothing's outstanding. So Marcos and the city facilities team are going through that and looking at what is going to need to be done in the future. And making some plans for the 2027 budget. But nothing major to report there at this moment.
So I have a question. Why are we using the 2022 plans?
Because that's the most current kind of like itemized plan that listed major capital projects that needed to happen. The roof was the last major item from that. So that's been finished. So there were a few other I don't even know the right term, but smaller items on that they're just making sure everything is up to date. the more recent plans that we have didn't have itemized, like.
Right. Okay, so my concern about that would be, just to read in the newer incoming trustees, is that. What's happened between 2022 and present was that we did a study with Moody Nolan, it will be in a folder for the incoming trustees. And the next step was to do a master facilities plan, and that would include then a new itemized list. We knew that there was. That would align then with the new strategic plan as well. So there's, I think, gonna be a gap between what was on the 2022 plan and then where we are now. When I say now, I mean 2 years ago. And I want to make sure that it doesn't look like check, we're all good based on 2022, therefore free to go, because that is really outdated information at this point.
Right.
And so I just want everyone on the same page that that's, like, we still need to move forward to the master facilities plan and
get that new itemized
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
It took 4 years from 2022 to get the roof fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. Exactly. My concern would be that we're gonna come up with nothing to do for 2027, and then the city's gonna say, we have nothing, no capital improvements. So, and it's like, yes, we don't have no capital improvements because we haven't done the master facilities plan.
What's the timeline to do
I
Is,
mean, that'll be up to, I
Yeah,
guess, the,
yeah, we've had with the transition of the executive director and then the last facilities director, we haven't engaged in that, but I think that as soon as there's a new executive director, that would be the next step. We could do a master facilities plan. That was on the work plan for this year. And that's why it hasn't been done. It's been staff transition, so.
I mean, lots of systems are still approaching maybe end of.
Yep.
Life.
Yeah.
Is there any, and the question, this might be a question for Heather, is, on the timing of for when the new director is hired to take that up, is there, are we sufficiently informed for the 2027 budget? If the master facilities plan is not taken up until the new director, so it's a good question.
I mean, I don't think that we won't have a master facilities plan in time for the 2027 budget. That's. We are,
hoping that would be helpful to do.
yeah, that's what we're talking about, some of the interim, like identifying the obvious interim projects that might need to be done prior to engaging.
So it's not just a checklist of what's remaining, it's
No,
also
it's-
identifying interim projects.
Correct.
And I think the trouble has been, again, saying this for everyone, is that identifying interim projects is difficult because you don't want to fix the elevator. The elevators are gonna get ripped out anyway in the long term. You don't want to fix the parking garage door, same problem. And that's a problem with quote most interim or small projects, is that, yeah, trying to like do a massive overhaul at some point. And so trying to decide what those interim projects are is quite difficult because we don't want to throw good money after bad. So anyway.
Any additional questions about the facilities report? Okay, how about the monthly development report?
I'd also like to introduce Jennifer Shreve, who is officially now our development manager.
Still my first line. And I have been in the library for 6 years. I have been a development manager, director in the past. And I am pleased to be taking this forward and really looking forward to all the work that we have ahead of us, which is very exciting. Tonight, I'm just going to review the June report, which is in your packet. I will be giving an in-depth mid-year report and development review at the August meeting. That we wanted to give you a chance to get your feet under you for the first meeting for. Halfway through the year, at the end of June, we are at 48% of our total expected giving for individual giving. That is ahead of where we were last year, so we are in good shape, but we still have a lot of work to do to get across the finish line by the end of this year. And for grants, the majority of our grant income has been received this year, and we are now working on applications for 2027 income. And so that is what that says. In June or July, we had an event for former trustees, which was hosted by Tracy and another former trustee, Rachel Heyman, and it was a very nice event, I believe, and also to enjoy it. And it was the first time we were able to bring former trustees back into our fold. And we'll continue to steward them as we move forward, and that will include our new former trustees who are with us tonight. So we won't lose you today. The main takeaways for tonight is that the summer campaign is just ramping up, and you will be seeing more information about this in the coming weeks. And I will also share more about that about this meeting. Right now, as part of that campaign, we have launched a matching gift campaign to raise funds for the Robert Crown Collection. Robert Crown Collection is a special collection to us because it really serves the community that it's in. And it's really curated by the librarians who know that community well. So we have $18,000 match from a few committed donors, and we can match those funds through mid-August. You can see the show and tell here at the end of the table that has that information in case you are so interested. We will also be having a gathering for donors at the upcoming Downtown Summer Sounds concert event on Thursday, July 23rd. This is the concert in the square, and it's a simple little happy hour. We're just having a place for people to come and gather who want to hear music and love the library. So we invite you to join us at our table for that as well. So all from my report for tonight. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, now we're on to board committee oral reports. Starting with the presidential report, which I will make available to you, Heather, to be included in the minutes. I wanted to start by saying thank you to Ellen and to for her very hard work ushering in the new website. And I mean, that was a really heavy lift, and the annual report, gorgeous, like our new branding, our new colorway, like all of that. So thank you so much for the work that you've done here at Evanston Public Library. Like a little personal side note, I'd be random places and I would see Ellen and I'd be like, what are you doing here? It's Saturday. And she was like, oh, I'm just collecting stuff for the library. And I just thought that was so critically important, how you embedded yourself within the community in order to better reach all parts of it. And so you did an extraordinary job. I also want to thank Jennifer Shree for bringing together trustees from across the years. Seeing so many former trustees was a powerful reminder that stewardship is generational, and we care for this institution for a time, strengthen it where we can, and then pass it forward. As you probably know, my term was expected to end in June, and I thought I was going to be a former trustee when I was attending that. But when it was clear that just leaving would disrupt our ability to govern, I stayed along with my colleagues, Michelle and Katie, not because we were desperate to hold on to a seat, but to help ensure continuity. And it's that same commitment to continuity is why the library fund model matters. It protects dedicated public resources and entrusts their stewardship to a board whose sole governing responsibility is the library. It allows the library to work in partnership with the city while protecting access to information and services from shifting political priorities. At a moment when libraries are being asked to do more than ever, support literacy, provide access to technology, create a welcoming space, defend intellectual freedom, and help people navigate an increasingly complicated world, we should preserve the governance structure that keeps those responsibilities visible, protected, and directly accountable to our community. Stewardship is accountability, and it means ensuring that Evanston Public Library remains stable, accountable, and accessible, not only for today, but for the generations who will inherit it from us. That concludes my comments. Moving on to our next item is the Finance Committee. Oh, I said Finance Committee, I looked at Michelle, but Finance Committee, Victoria.
I went to Michelle's hand. So also welcome to our to be sworn in trustees. Smear me the Budget report, finance committee, is gonna begin intensive work as we swing around the summer. To develop the budget for next year, and that, includes presenting the draft operating budget to this group and testing levy scenarios in September. And then adopting the appropriate revenue plan in, November, so, just to. Update everyone's understanding, our upcoming budget cycle is gonna be heavily impacted by some critical decisions that are still in the process, that's the. IGA and the lease and the service level agreements so that we can accurately project our costs. Our library services are delivered by exceptional staff and their success and support are important. Personnel costs comprise, 3/4 of our operating budget, so the outcome of, current conversations, will, directly impact our 2027 budget. And the finance committee will model some low, middle and high compensation scenarios by August so that we can prevent any deficits as the negotiations that are currently underway will likely overlap with our statutory September budget setting window. And then as has been shared, Cook County is not totally up to date on the disbursement of the full amount of our processed property tax levy. So we don't have a clear accounting of the funds that have been received, as well as anything that's still due to us. So this has the impact of significantly narrowing our operating liquidity. We maintain a reserve balance of about six months, so 50% of our annual operating expenses to bridge gaps like that. And I just want to underscore that without that reserve, the library would have to close its doors in the cases of our delayed tax payments. So a failure of the county collections to catch up by third and fourth quarter presents the same risk for us. To echo Tracy's remarks, President Folz's remarks, our prudent oversight has allowed us to protect our operating reserve, and that acts as a buffer against these kinds of tax delays. So ensuring our world-class programming and the ability of our staff to deliver the excellent programming and the spaces that we maintain can only continue uninterrupted if we maintain that kind of approach. And the finance committee will continue to employ that lens to ensure that we preserve library services. We want to ensure that this beautiful building, the Robert Crown building space, which by law has to remain a library for the people. We want to make sure that that's safely preserved, modernized, and responsive to our community for generations to come. Any questions?
I would like to tag on to your report. One of the things that you mentioned was the IGA and lease. And I did get a report from our attorney that was shared with and I will provide it to you, Heather, to be included in the minutes. But summarizing the dollar figure associated with the service level agreements is not included. So currently, Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like $350,000 that we pay the city for services. And those services are included in 6 areas: finance, human resources and labor relations, information technology, facilities, city clerk services, and legal services. So in the MOU, that was not clear what the services were. It just said administrative. But now the idea would be that it would be clear that those were around those 6 services. We would come up with a shared fee, and that'll be negotiated. And the city would agree to provide those services professionally, competently, diligently, and promptly. So.
Love legalese.
Yeah, right. So there's. Yeah, right. So there's some other descriptions around what those categories would include. But that is the big picture. Those are the bullets that were shared with City Council. A larger agreement, as I said, I'll send to Heather to include in the minutes. But that's it so far. Are there any questions about where we are with the IGA and lease? Yeah.
Where are we with time? So what happens next and when?
That's a great question.
I've lost track of where we were with city council's 90-day window that was proposed.
Oh, the 90-day window is longer.
I thought we had.
That was from March to June. Yeah.
I have a terrible understanding of times. Thank you for bearing.
So even though there was no like formal communication between City Council
Right. I knew that.
and the library board, it said at the round table that.
That's where I get my news.
So I'm not sure exactly what's going on in that regard,
Okay.
but as I understand it, the city manager is waiting until a new board is fully seated in order to continue working on the IGA and lease, and perhaps also an executive director. So it's possible that it may be months, it may be not. Not really sure where we are.
Perhaps fingers are crossed, the priorities will change.
Yeah.
Got it.
Any other questions about the IGA SLAs, which hopefully will be included in the IGA? the
Yeah, I
intergovernmental
haven't seen
agreement?
a draft of it in a while, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we saw it. We've sent a few drafts, and so we'll see what happens.
So I just wanted to say one thing, which is that the open items for negotiation are not between the city manager and the executive director of the library. They're between the city council and this body. So I'm not sure, I could imagine waiting until the full complement of appointees is in place to continue that. But I have a memo waiting that was in the linked in the roundtable, so for the new appointees, they're seeing it. But and it was in last month's packet, but or our emergency meeting packet, I guess. But the point I think I want to make here is that continuing to delay for reasons like not having an executive director in place doesn't gain anything new in the ongoing discussion, which is that the library needs a pathway to capital. And also these service level agreements, like what are we buying for the money that we're giving the city, needs to have some value attached to it, which means having some guarantees about what we're purchasing. And that continues to be the ongoing discussion, that I don't see why having an executive director in place moves that forward any faster. But the new appointees should be aware, as well as Gene and Victoria have been here, that is, something that could move forward in earnest without an executive director, because I don't think continuing to wait another potentially 4 months, 6 months until he or she is up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Yeah, you think?
yeah, in addition, and I'm glad you reminded me to make sure that we're all kind of operating from the same place, is that if from what I heard in city council meeting, there's some discussion around whether or not the IGA and lease should happen at all. That there's be no reason to negotiate a change
If they move it back to a city department.
if it's a city department. And so I think that's another concern, is like, well, how does this get sorted out?
Tracy, are you saying that the incentives in place to make this take longer?
Yes.
Yes, I see. So you're saying that if
Yes.
it takes longer and then some city council members want the library to be an apartment anyway, and then the appearance of this taking longer is making it look like, well, it should just be an apartment because look,
Right.
this still isn't done.
Right,
Yes,
Yeah.
so.
Well, and if it goes back to being a city department, it's not like. Then we can just stop talking about all this and you can all be told to shut up. More effectively,
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll still be out here yelling. But I would, this is not my turn yet, is it, for facilities committee, but if you have not visited any of our our neighboring libraries, you should. It's eye-opening if you look around at Skokie,
Northbrook,
Northbrook.
all that.
Our building is many buildings in Evanston are in need of capital investment. We're not alone in that. But yeah, I'm a lot to say about it, but I won't go into it.
we need a path to capital.
We need a path to capital.
And I also think the part that may be confusing when we talk about SLAs or service level agreements is that Michelle has said this a number of times very eloquently, but I don't know that everybody is like fully hearing it, is that when we raise the levy the library raises the levy and the city raises the levy. It's the same taxpayers that pay the money. So when they tax my house and I pay my property tax, and a portion of my property tax goes to the library, a portion of my property tax goes to the city. Then the library takes a portion of the property tax that it got from me and pays the city for services that I've literally already paid the city for. So that if we don't get the services and then we have to get a consultant to provide the services, then I, as a taxpayer, am paying 3 times for the service. So I think that's why it's kind of confusing. It's like, well, it's not that we're not, the library is paying for services from the city that we may or may not get with Fidelity. And not because, somebody's a terrible person or something, but because things happen. But it's not that we're not paying for it, it's that we're not paying for it and maybe not always getting it with Fidelity.
The due diligence of this body,
Right.
yes, comes with this.
And I think it's, I feel like I need to say that, I feel like this board and especially President Fultz have been held responsible for, or have been sort of persecuted for doing their job and doing their due diligence and exposing when things aren't working well and pointing it out. Sad that in doing the job of governance, when you find that something doesn't work, that people get upset and want you to stop talking about it rather than to work in good faith to resolve the issue. But
My hope is that this is going to be resolved because again, because in the roundtable, I read the comments. I know I'm not supposed to read the comments. Everyone tells me not to read the comments, but I can't help myself not read the comments. For my, fellow residents to describe, like, I pay taxes too. Like, so I'm hyper aware of like how much I pay for my 3-bedroom.
I'm hyper aware of how much I pay in taxes and then how much better Skoki's library is in comparison to mine.
Well, not better.
Well, okay, sorry, not better. More modern. The building is more modern. It's more, there's things that have been, our building is from 1993.
Yes. Do you
As the
remember what you were
roundtable
doing
so
in
wonderfully
93?
pointed out. There was no internet.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we're all kind of on the same level of understanding and why these agreements are so important, that we're paying double for something. So we want to make sure that we get it with Fidelity, that it's executed perfectly. Well, maybe not
For
perfectly.
Fidelity, and that we take seriously that there is a statutory budget process, there's a timeline that we have to make these decisions.
Yes.
We take very seriously the responsibility of making that decision in an informed way that takes into account the needs of the library.
Yes.
And our community, and without information, it's hard to do that accurately, and as has been described, it's the same taxpayer.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Shall we move on to management committee?
Sure, I don't think there's much to give in an update here because we're talking about everything we talked about in the management meeting under item 7A, old business. So I'll defer for that.
Okay, thank you. Facilities committee.
I kind of already talked, so we can.
Oh,
Oh, there is no DEIB committee.
so there's no one to give the report from DEIB. This would normally be where Esther would give a report, but
There was no meeting.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Communications.
Okay, thanks. At the request of a board member who has since resigned, we reported verbally in our last communications committee about a scan of peer and area libraries' websites specific to how their boards are communicating and on what topics in the public forum. One finding was that some peer libraries have legislative committees and/or they include updates on legislative issues relevant to their libraries and their reporting at board meetings, such as bills regarding annual library grants, book bans, digital material costs, etc. We'll discuss further with the interim executive director if brief updates might be included in a monthly director report for board and public awareness. Secondly, the committee also brainstormed about topics meriting communications through the end of this year. With budget season approaching, we're considering a joint board staff communication on library budget setting process, which may take an interview format. We thought that would be helpful for everybody involved to just like understand how it works, the timing, who's it involved, etc. And to your point, who's paying for what? We're also gonna closely track the IGA and lease discussions with the city and adjust the board FAQ. That's on our website, with any milestones as we progress with those discussions. And then I'd also just like to say, the Communications Committee is the newest committee. We are still growing and we would love to have new members. So think about joining the Communications Committee. Our next meeting is August 4th.
Thank you. I actually have a question about the budget idea. So like, what would that look like? How would it work? Like open to the public, people could come and just ask questions about the budget or what was your vision or the committee's vision?
The committee was talking about having sort of an interview, maybe with a member of the press,
Uh-huh.
where a staff leader and a board member might sit down with them and just kind of talk through the budget process.
Mhm.
So more of a structured interview.
Uh-huh.
And but I like your idea though. We could entertain having some kind of public forum too.
Interesting. Any additional questions? Seeing none. Okay, so now we're into old business, the review of the RFP.
Right, so today the management committee discussed the second round of RFP for the executive director search firm. I'm not gonna go through the whole analysis that we did since we did that in committee, but I do want to give people an update on it. So the revised RFP was posted in June with proposals due July 10th. The RFP sought an executive search firm to support the board in recruiting and placing a permanent executive director for the library. We received proposals from 5 firms. 3 trustees completed scorecards for all 5 proposals, and those complete scorecards were included in the compiled review. Scorecard followed the evaluation process in the revised RFP. First, the pass-fail gate, then weighted scoring. The pass-fail gate looked at whether each firm demonstrated executive search experience, provided a clear fee structure, and provided 3 executive director or CEO level case examples. Public library executive search experience and experience with collective bargaining environments were treated as weighted scoring priorities, not separate pass-fail gates. Based on the completed scorecards, so there were 5 firms: DSG Koya, Maneva Group, KEES, I'm pronouncing Keys, Stanton Chase, and Harvest Educational Consulting Group, or I'm gonna call Harvest. Of the 5 scorecards, DSG Koya received the highest average score. It was the strongest consensus top proposal. Maneva Group received the second highest average score and was discussed as a strong value alternative. Keys passed the gate but scored materially lower. Stanton Chase had more variation in the trustee scoring and was not among the top 2 based on the overall review, and Harvest did not advance past the gate. The management committee's discussion focused primarily on the 2 strongest proposals, DSG Koya and Maneva. DSG Koya had the strongest direct public library executive search track record, including multiple public library and library sector placements. Maneva had a strong process, strong equity and sourcing approach, favorable cost and value considerations, and a longer guarantee, but less direct public library system for library system ED CEO search experience than DSG Koya. The committee discussed that the primary trade-off was whether DSG Koya's stronger direct public library executive search experience justified the higher and less predictable cost structure compared with Maneva's strong process and value proposition. After discussion, the management committee voted to recommend to this board to authorize the board president or designee to proceed with DSG Koya as the preferred search firm, subject to negotiation of acceptable contract terms, including fees, reimbursables, and monthly indirect expense fees and guarantee terms. If acceptable terms cannot be reached with DSG Koya, the committee recommends that Maneva be considered as the next best value alternative, subject to clarification of its case example timelines and relevant public library search experience. The recommended next step for the board tonight is to authorize the board president or designee to begin negotiations with DSG Koya, consistent with the committee recommendation, and to return to the board with a final agreement for approval if required.
So I'll entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion around this item? Are there questions? Katie? No, so good.
Yeah, I think DSG is a solid choice.
All right, let's call the roll.
Okay, False,
Aye.
Huggins,
Aye.
Kelleher, I, Mills.
Yes.
Shire, yes. Right.
Oh, I forgot to say the designee. Victoria,
Ma'am.
will you be the designee?
I will.
Yay!
Thank you, Fran.
There we go. Excellent.
By voting yes, and 0 no, motion is passed.
Okay, so I just realized the next item, when Victoria, when you made your motion earlier, we should have swapped B and A. So I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda for item B and A to be swapped in new business.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so.
Yep.
So I'm running out. So,
There's a lot of activity.
yeah.
Her new BNA.
New,
Right, so she deleted B and C.
so we
She-
should
B and A.
B and A instead of B and C.
No,
Yeah, B
No, no.
and C, yeah, I
Delete.
deleted B and C.
she deleted C,
And
edited B, and now we need to swap
Yes.
B and A.
Her new B is like what we're, yeah.
Yes, her new
Yeah,
B
yeah,
should
sure,
be BA.
Okay.
Everybody with me?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought I was just confirming, but yes.
He is a new,
B is the new A.
all right,
In new, yeah, you got it.
let us vote.
Okay,
Oh.
yes, let us vote.
Again,
Aye.
Eleanor, I, Mills.
Yes.
Shire. Yes. All right.
Okay. So, Shire, since you made the motion, would you be willing to explain the situation? Surprise, surprise. I could try, but I've been crying earlier.
Okay. I will give that a shot and I invite others to correct. Okay, so I get the sequences correct.
I wrote it up for Chase. You didn't give us that.
And you, yeah, because you wrote it. And
Yeah.
I was like,
So, okay, the new appointees were appointed, there were supposed to be 4 appointees on Monday night. And the way it was written up in the city council resolution, there's a resolution AP1 and an action memo. And the language in the resolution and the action memo are inconsistent. For what the city is now calling positions for library board members. We thought that the appointees, the new incoming appointees would be swapping out the people who rolled off in order. So that would have included.
Who resigned.
Who resigned, sorry, including trustee Amamu, who resigned first, trustee Shea, who resigned second, and then trustee Wallen, who resigned third. So we thought those replacements were gonna be you three coming in for that. And then, Councilmember Isles, pulled himself back from being for consideration. And then, so we were coming into tonight's meeting thinking that there was going to be, additional board members and that we were going to have, beyond just the threshold level requirement for quorum. And then we realized that there's this new website that the city has that describes positions, members that's inaccurate also. It includes, like, for example, for myself, that I replaced, Ben, Shapiro, who I served concurrently with, and so I didn't replace him. And so there's a number of, I replaced Margaret Lurie. And there's a number of other inaccuracies on this website, plus we'd never heard of positions before, and so when we were looking a little more carefully at this, we realized, well, wait, the resolution language and the action language are also incorrect, and the reason this matters is because it's not clear whether my position, it leaves me on the board or doesn't leave me on the board. And so in order to make sure that we have handled this legally with due diligence, we're going to make the assumption that the right thing to do here is that the new appointees coming in are being appointed for the members who have resigned. And we're leaving the other 3 trustees, Tracy Falls, Michelle Mills, and Katie Huggins, in place until new appointments can be made. We're hoping ASAP. I also want to go on the record and say that due to the minutes that people can see in tonight's packets, the number of things that people have said about ongoing concerns that many trustees have raised with ensuring that the way that Black women in particular have been treated, both on staff at the library and on this library board, that I want to make sure that we have appointments that reflect, the diversity of Evanston. On this board coming in, and we have opportunity for 4 appointments. That I hope will reflect that diversity in our community, because that's really important on boards that we have that, and that we can discuss things from the perspective of all community members. We've heard a lot about why that's important. So, we have four slots to do that, and so before we can conduct, proper officer elections, I think that we, need to make sure that we can take a beat and fill those 4 positions with, 4 new community members. Right, did I get that all?
Yeah, and
Anything out?
recognizing that to subject the really critical decisions to very thin attendance quorum and voting margins is a risk, given the importance and number of decisions that will be made. That we need to ensure we have robust representation of point of view, and that we're not at risk of not achieving quorum on a critical decision.
Yes, we have budget approval coming up, and we have with 5 board members, nobody can vote remotely and nobody can miss a meeting. And so,
Which we already know.
yes, and we were already aware that that would be a case for August of people missing. So, it would have to cancel meetings during this season. It's not good. So, okay. Any questions about that from anyone?
Thank you for.
Okay, we're good. Okay.
I'm sure I will have a question, but I don't have it. So.
Okay.
Okay, so there's nothing to do here except move on to the exciting part. Who's ready? Yay! Okay, so I'm just gonna go in, well, I guess it's not clockwise. I'm gonna go counterclockwise. So I'm gonna start with you, Liz. Are you ready? This is the oath of office. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mary Elizabeth Kenny,
Having been appointed as a trustee of the Evanston Public Library
having been appointed as a trustee of the Evanston Public Library,
in the city of Evanston in the county of Cook,
city of Evanston, in the county of Cook,
aforesaid do solemnly swear
aforesaid, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of trustee to the best of my ability.
of trustee to the best of my ability.
Welcome! You ready, Gus? Okay, I state your name.
I, Gus Grandchild,
Having been appointed as a trustee of the Evanston Public Library
having been appointed as trustee of the Evanston Public Library
in the city of Evanston in the county of Cook,
in the city of Evanston, the county of Cook,
aforesaid do solemnly swear
aforesaid, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of trustee to the best of my ability.
of trustee to the best of my ability.
We really should have had noisemakers or something. All right, ready? I, state your name,
I, Sharif Al-Najjar,
having been appointed as a trustee of the Evanston Public Library
having been appointed as the trustee of the Evanston Public Library
in the city of Evanston in the county of Cook,
in the city of Evanston in the county of Cook,
aforesaid do solemnly affirm
aforesaid do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will affirm the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of trustee to the best of my ability.
of trustee to the best of my ability.
Yay! So now you all are official. So I don't have any items for executive session. Do you have items? You have one item. Okay, so we'll have our first. Okay. Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, I move that the Evanston Public Library Board convene into executive session to discuss an agenda item regarding personnel. This agenda item is a permitted subject to be considered in executive session and among enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are C1, C2, and are set forth as follows. Exceptions. A public body may hold closed meetings to consider the following subjects: the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Is there a second?
Seconded.
And now we have to add our 3 new trustees on that list.
They are on the
There.
list.
Amen. Okay. Ready to call the roll.
On the roll, El Najar.
Aye.
Frantula.
Aye.
Gallagher, aye. Kenny. Aye. Shire. Aye. Pulse.
Aye.
Mills.
Aye.
Huggins.
Aye.
Right.
All right.